And then it's almost like they have an agenda slash incentive to continue saying positive things because of the fact, oh wow, there's Elder Scrolls coming out soon, guys. And you know, it was hugely lucrative to be getting early access to this game. So you don't want to miss out on that. You don't want to miss out on that, do you, guys? I don't know. I think this is toxic and prevalent. The same thing happens with Blizzard, and it's this new meta of these large AAA gaming companies whitelisting people who only say positive things to then reinforce this behavior loop where everyone basically they're just creating a bunch of shills. Because if you say good things, then you get lots of benefits, and then as a result, your career grows. If you say realities, right, and say, "Yo, this game's bugged," and you ask hard questions that they can't answer, like, guess what? You get the cut, and then you don't get the benefits. And if we keep feeding this beast, what are we gonna have, chat? What are we gonna have? We're gonna create a bunch of shill streamers. That's what we're gonna end up with. We're gonna have all these streamers that are cuckolded by AAA games into only saying positive things about their fucking games. Otherwise, they won't get access. And then all these fucking streamers are all everyone's gonna be like on their best behavior. It's fundamentally anti-consumer, and it's an ad that isn't marked as an ad.
You have to force behaviors.
I get this question on occasion. Why are video game developers always attacking fans and get away with it with zero or little consequences from the video game studios themselves? So, without further ado, hi, I'm WILKSY and let's dive into this stupidity. And if you want to support me further, subscribe and take a look at my socials in the description below, and let's make a kingdom.
Assemble the army.
Well, as we all know, if you are in a job and we acted snotty, narcissistic to a customer or client, the consequences are real. Not only will we miss sales opportunities, but the reputation of the store or company has been tarnished when just one person writes their review and proclaims what happened to them upon word of mouth. As they say, mud sticks. So for cases like Square Enix, Sega, Epic Games that demand censorship anyone who criticises them, to Fallout creator blames customers or gamers for bad feedback, the message is now clear. Gamers are not the ones funding their studios, let alone paying for their cost of living. It's now the shareholders and investors. Well, they still need to make a profit, so they say, as of course the investors and stockholders will want their money back and then some, as nothing in life is for free. Let's not forget that investors and banks like BlackRock, as we discussed in my previous videos, money is not the end goal. Changing behaviours and people's attitudes towards owning products is. But after so many years of this happening, how's it working out for the video game companies? Well,
I declare bankruptcy!
nope, it's not going according to plan. So why don't these companies do a 180 and start listening to customers' feedback and hire upon merit? Well, it's just far too late for some. But mainly, let's not forget, in order to get the investment and the grants from investors and EU grants from the European Union, you have to shut your mouth and play by their rules of implementing DEI, and hire bitter activists that tarnish the company's brand by slagging off customers. Once you're in it far too deep after not making profits and in so much debt to investors and shareholders, you are now their bitch. And just like Ubisoft, they can throw the entire company out onto the street corners, as shareholders can do a runner at any time, and investors can sell their entire shares whenever they want. They don't have to give you a reason or give you notice. They can do it at any time. But when the financial market sees it, any smart person will know the company is about to collapse. Now that we have the big picture painted for us, the final question you might ask, this is all stupid from the start and companies are just getting conned. So why does this trick still continue? This is what happens when you don't hire based on merit. because a con artist or an investor like BlackRock knows they can't control a smart individual, especially one that questions motives and tries to predict future outcomes, but more importantly, has their own dignity, morals, and standards of others and themselves. But if you hire someone who would happily sacrifice their liberties and freedoms for safety, let alone love to have their ego stroked by delusions, while they are the pawns attacking anyone who is a threat to their very way of life, then you have an army of stupid, naive workers that will do anything, no conflicts, no questions, no fights, knowing full well they are crap and should not have gotten those positions. I mean, you can still do the full sweep and get rid of the mess once they have served their purpose, as one Ubisoft employee leaked an email saying, activists are dead weight. Like I said, they are pawns, like in a game of chess, and they're the first ones to go. So if you're wondering if this is corporate bureaucracy in a nutshell, well, yes, but a very stupid and unstable one, that just the first breath of wind that comes, crash. And when that happens, they can do it like Yagami and lie and say it was all by design, or say it was those meddling YouTubers / gamers who won't shut up about the things we try to cover up. But as we know, it was they themselves, and they're just too stupid to see it. Which leads me to the current drama with the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 controversy. And we should start from the beginning. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 developer Daniel Varva claims big studios are terrified of YouTubers like Critical Drinker and Asmongold. In a recent appearance on the Vox News YouTube channel, as translated by Reddit user Parazak, Varva said, "Listen, I've even heard that they're big developers / companies really scared of hate tubers. Let's say the kind of guys who started criticizing Critical Drinker, Asmongold, and others who started criticizing big companies," he continued. "And I thought it was so niche. Okay, he's Asmon, got like a few million followers, his videos have some impact, but it's definitely not what everybody's watching." From there, Varva shared his own criticisms of AAA studios and how they react to the criticisms by Asmongold, Critical Drinker, and others. And it's unsustainable how these corporations do it, considering that they now made games that nobody wanted, and they even said it when those gamers started complaining that they didn't like it and they didn't want that kind of game, and the game developers started telling them that they were stupid and that it wasn't a game for them, which is completely bizarre that you're insulting your own customers. Barbara has just said what I've been painting in the introduction of this canvas. If people don't want to face criticisms, let alone struggles, then we got games no one wanted, like Dragon Age, The Fail Guard, Concord, and Sushi Squad. Then, when the crash happens, they cry like babies and say gamers are toxic and wow. And at the same time, we get dull and boring games where everything is safe and no one is allowed to be mean to each other, apparently. But should developers be scared of so-called hate tubers? Well, if you know what gamers and customers want, then you wouldn't be calling them hate tubers, let alone be scared of them. You should be listening to the criticism in the first place, because if they have big audiences of their own and other gamers saying the same feedback as they do, then you can use that inspiration for your next big game, not portray them as boogeymen that you are trying to quell. And what's more, that feedback is for free and one website video click away. And plus, when we have Mirek Tominsky, CEO of CEI Games, who has made Lords of the Fallen, he did this poll, and yeah, it shows gamers hate DEI ideology with a passion, and it's not going to change. But it is pathetic, and in 2025 we had to ask this stupid question that are so obvious. But at least Merrick is not scared to ask questions and find truth, compared to the activist developers who cower under the bedsheet, demanding the truth to be vanquished underneath their beds. I'm sure a lot of gamers now are seeing that RPGs are now turned into Dora the Explorer simulations and also corporate struggle sessions. So many mommy cuddling stories.
Bunch of artifacts.
Artifacts, ancient artifacts. She was off looking for another artifact, and the artifact. These artifacts.
What is this artifact we're looking for exactly?
I have a couple of theories, but nothing definite.
What kind of artifact shows up in an armory?
I have a theory, but we're miles away from where that artifact should be.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says
Artifacts.
We need to go here. We need to go there. Oh, and remember this and remember that. And repeat over and over again. Shooters like Call of Duty and Halo now turned into casinos thanks to corporate greed. Oh, and if you're thinking that in the next Halo game, Katana's still going to be in there, it ain't going to happen. Not because she's too hot and too male gazy to mentally ill people. But as they say, where there is a based Neo, there's always going to be a backstabbing cipher in disguise. There is one golden rule when it comes to PR, let alone advertising. Never attack or insult your audience or customers, no matter what, because they control your fate. And if people have questions, always answer them, but answer them in a very professional manner and only stick to talking about the game, because money is way more important than emotions or one's own ego. Trust takes years to build, but it can crumble in minutes. But unfortunately, a community manager and Daniel Varva has missed this piece of wisdom entirely and did the classic fuck up. Emotions got the best of them and attacked the audience not only for asking questions but against clickbaiters, now showing that everything that Varva has stood for, being based and making a game for gamers, was all a lie.
It didn't take me long to realize being gay is really expensive.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Let me explain. If you have faith in a product you have created yourself and you know people will like it, you only talk about the product and what the vision was behind making it, while allowing that product to do the talking, nothing more. All that Varva and the community manager had to do was something on the lines of, I know the current social climate is in a mess. We know that any ounce of wokeness, let alone homosexual relationships, especially in a medieval setting, can set people off, and we understand why, but it's not what you think. We will get back to you on certain things because there are contracts we have to abide by, as some leaks will jeopardize us legally, and we'll get back to you. But if you still have doubts, just watch the stream or the video of someone playing it and you can make your own decision. That is all. It's as easy as that. But the moment a game developer goes full kid up mode, that's where I know something is very way off. And it means they are hiding something and they don't want the truth to come out, as it will affect sales and their very way of life and their safety insurance from their investors and shareholders. But it's far too late. The damage is done and their true colours are on full display. It's a shame really, as I personally wanted to play and support Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, as I've already played Deliverance 1 and support Warhol Studios, but after this controversy, my patience has snapped, my wallet is closed and I don't want to hear what they have to say anymore. But here's the very thing a lot of people have forgotten or just too stupid to see, as they're either blinded by ego or they just don't want to believe the truth. Henry was an already established character, but Kingdom Come Deliverance 1. He was a Christian and a blacksmith. He was just out there trying to find his next meal or a job to get more money or supplies. So why on earth would a straight Christian male all of a sudden go by and be at the risk not only be branded as a sodomite, but to be a hypocrite? In real life, it wouldn't make sense either, because if I had a friend or family member that I've known for years and all of a sudden this shift occurs, I would have serious questions and doubts as well. Also, think to myself, what else are they hiding from me? If I get honest answers and it makes sense, then fair, but it's going to take months for my doubts to be at ease as a consequence to them. But really, this is all DEI tip boxing as well as retconning in a nutshell to appease to the DEI handlers, because of course, it's their DEI handlers that are telling them to do everything. Also, the black Muslim medic I don't have a problem with until, and if this is true, because I think it's just a rumour really, but if it's true, if he starts talking about where he comes from, women get treated far more fairly. As a player, why would I need to know that, and let alone, what's this got anything to do with Henry's story? But again, of course, like I just said, DEI tip boxing. The truth has been revealed. The light is too bright to cover up. Do you see why fake-based, let alone woke game developers hate questions now? Questions and truth is their kryptonite. So we now have a guy that would do anything just to have food in his belly, like any person living in the medieval times, to now all of a sudden focus on inclusion. The immersion hasn't just broken, it has literally been penetrated from the sky. It's always that warning. If you give them an inch, they'll take the whole studio. If Varva was based, as he so proclaims, why didn't he fire his PR team and community manager immediately when it went off the rails to save his reputation and trust with the customers? Well, because he sold his soul to the DI handlers, and Varva has to abide by them. If he doesn't, he won't get his instant DEI insurance money. He will miss out on interviews and being in the Cool Kids Club with GDC or video game urinalists.
Don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted, okay?
We're doing the same thing.
And so it's just, you have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted. And that's not recruiting, it is development, as Ken said.
So in order to show alliance, he has to defend them and attack the very ones who dare want to find out the truth, let alone spread it like wildfire. But at the end of the day, if you choose to buy it, I'm in no position to judge you, as you already made the choice within yourselves. I'm just here to help you understand. Like I said, I have my own personal morals and standards, and for me, I do not support people who hate me, and I certainly do not tolerate thieves and liars. I'm only here to give wisdom and inform gamers, nothing more. It's your choice if you want to take my advice or reject it. Otherwise, I become the very thing gamers and myself hate the most: moral busybodies and activists. Time and time again, the reason that certain developers and video game urinalists hate YouTubers, or as I say, hate tubers, is because showing the truth puts their very way of life and occupation at risk, and that very safety and shout of lifestyle will be eroded and destroyed the moment video game studios decide to listen to gamers all over again. The DEI hires and the incompetent will be swept clean, and justifiably so. The urinalists will no longer be needed and got nowhere else to go, as this fake job is all that they've ever known. As an example, think of the dystopian stories like the Matrix trilogy, because screw the latest one. When Neo decided to take the red pill and wanted to see the truth, like Alice being curious of what lies beneath the rabbit hole, Morpheus and his gang shows everything and the truth that he was in a simulation. Yes, it was very overwhelming and how much his life was a lie and wanted to go back into safety because it was the easy option, but eventually, just like the others, he came to terms with it and decide to face against the machines and liberate humanity again. Not just because Morpheus was telling him he was the next Jesus Christ, but because of his own accord and his love for Trinity. But just like in a lot of video game studios, or back in the day when they did actual honest game reviews, you always had a cipher that would happily take the dark bribe from the greedy CEO or DI consultant, while even betraying their very own, who would happily sacrifice their liberties for a quieter life, leading them into becoming their bitch, and will never talk or fight back and obey every order, so their very safety is not easily taken away from them.
Do we have a deal, Mr. Reagan?
You know, I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious. After 9 years, you know what I realize? Ignorance is bliss.
Then we have a deal.
I don't want to remember nothing. Nothing. You understand? And I want to be rich. You know, someone important. Like an actor.
Whatever you want, Mr. Reagan.
Okay.
But unlike the Matrix simulation, the system is not a well-constructed one and is doomed to fail every single time, with the evidence of mass layoffs and video game studios shutting down. And as we have seen many times, as video game studios or even developers try to play the victim when they get caught with their hand in the cookie jar, it always ended badly. Nobody has ever won. As we've seen with BioWare, they're allowing people like Kareem Bush and her activist friends to take over a well-famous IP and literally tarnished it. To Abubakar Salim saying that his game did not sell because of YouTubers and racism.
When I look at Zhao, it's reached this fever pitch. And look, don't get me wrong, right? There has been so much amazing and beautiful support for this game.
Thanks for your purchase.
We forgot! Well, don't sweat it. Just so long as a couple of people did, right, Millhouse? Lewis? Oh. Somebody must have...
Purchase.
Uh-oh.
Daniel Varva is doing exactly the same thing, playing the victim as always, because he knows deep down everything that he stood for was all a lie. As they said, every single one of them, as soon as they failed, they always tried to find somebody to try and do the divide and conquer. Some YouTubers fall for it, but a lot of others like myself, we don't, because we always ask questions. I like to read something in Aldous Huxley's Brave New World that ties everything together and who people like Daniel Varva really is and what he really stands for. You got rid of them. Yes, that's just like you. Getting rid of everything unpleasant instead of learning to put up with it. Whether it is better in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them, but you don't do either. Neither suffer, nor oppose. You just abolish the slings and arrows. It's too easy. It's a story as old as time. Those living in sheltered safety want everything done for them, and everything to be fought for them. They cannot face the hardships of reality and will crumble at the littlest sliver of conflict. The proper response to trouble and sometimes evil itself, while preserving one's own liberty, is when we face whatever is bad. We don't go begging the sloppy corporate or cancel culture machines to solve our problems, but to face them ourselves, and by opposing, end them. You know, pray not for easy lives, pray to be stronger men. Or even,
what is better, to be born good or to overcome your evil nature through great effort?
I can say platitudes all day, But alas, that concludes this WILKSY roundup for this week. I hope you have a good weekend, and I'll see you all on the next one. This is WILKSY15, signing out.